Did you read the part of the report, Mr. Hill, where an Hispanic employee said that his supervisor asked him to recite the Pledge of Allegiance to, quote, prove that he was an American? Did you read that?
I did, Senator.
Did it make you proud?
It did not.
You've been there since January, right?
That's correct.
I heard you talk about transparency and accountability. Those are pretty words. I want a report within 30 days about what's been done. I want to know who's been fired. I want to know who's been prosecuted. I want to know who's been moved around with so-called demotion, taking care of their brother-in-law.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Hot News Today, where we break down the stories that everyone's talking about but few are willing to dissect honestly. Now, I just watched something that absolutely stunned me. Senator John Kennedy's explosive confrontation over the FDIC sexual harassment and discrimination scandal. And let me tell you something, this wasn't politics. This was accountability in real time. In a Senate hearing that should have every American paying attention, Kennedy didn't mince words. He stood up for decency, for respect in the workplace, and for every woman and minority who's been brushed aside by bureaucratic excuses. While others stay silent and play safe politics, Kennedy demanded answers, and he demanded them now. I know some people like to paint him as brash or too direct, but when you're talking about an agency that's supposed to protect financial integrity yet can't even protect its own employees from harassment and racism, being polite isn't leadership, it's complicity. So before we jump into this video, I want you to watch closely. Notice how Kennedy keeps his composure while forcing uncomfortable truths into the open. He's not playing the partisan game, he's fighting for real people who've been ignored for too long. Stick around because after this clip, I'm breaking down exactly why this moment matters. Not just for the FDIC, not just for Washington, but for anyone who still believes public service should mean something. And hey, if you appreciate real talk, not sugar-coated spin, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Because here on Hot News Today, we don't look away from the uncomfortable. We confront it.
Chairman. Mr. Paul Hollis, I've known him for a long time. He is a favorite son in Louisiana. He served honorably and admirably in our state legislature. He was on the board of elementary and secondary education. No more important job in my state. There's nobody in this country that knows more about coins and coinage and numismatics than Paul Hollis, and all of us in Louisiana are so proud of him. Mr. Hill, did you read the 234-page Cleary Gottlieb report about the sexual harassment and the bullying and the touching and the sleaze and the racial discrimination at the FDIC under President Biden?
I did, Senator.
I'm going to clean up the language here because we've got kids here. Did you read the part of the report where one young female employee said that her supervisor looked her in the eye and described her as being, quote, like a grizzly bear with breasts, but he didn't use the term breast. Did you read that?
I did, yes.
Did you read the part where one FDIC supervisor asked a young female subordinate, quote, does your husband blank you?
I did, Senator.
You read that?
Yes.
Did you read the part of the report where one young female employee said her supervisor sent her a text saying, quote, get naked, blank?
Yes, Senator.
Wow. Just wow. Every time I see Senator Kennedy in a hearing, I'm reminded why so many people respect this man. He says what others are too scared to say. What we just witnessed wasn't a grandstanding moment. It was moral outrage channeled into accountability. Kennedy didn't yell, didn't throw insults. He used facts. He read straight from a 234-page report detailing sexual harassment, bullying, and racial discrimination at the FDIC. And what's worse, nothing's been done. No leadership response. No transparency. Just silence. When Kennedy said he's had enough, that wasn't just about the FDIC, that was about a culture of bureaucratic rot that protects bad actors while honest workers suffer in silence. 97 reports of sexual misconduct. 91 of sex discrimination. Nearly 200 of bullying and racial harassment. And what's the FDIC's reaction? A shrug. Kennedy's demand for a 30-day report, naming who's been fired, who's been prosecuted, who's been moved, that's the kind of pressure we need more of in Washington.
Did you read the part of the report where one female employee said that her supervisor at the FDIC, been there for years, sent her a picture of his private parts?
Yes, Senator.
Now look, I could go on all day. And you know what I've heard back? I've talked about this for a long time. You know what I've heard back from the FDIC? Nothing. Zero. Zilch. Nada. I haven't heard from you. Last time I checked, 97 employees at your agency, if you're confirmed, reported repeated instances of sexual assault, sexual advances, and unwanted touching. 91 other employees reported repeated incidents of sex discrimination. 187 employees reported repeated incidents of bullying and threats. 191 employees reported repeated incidents of racial discrimination. Did you read the part of the report, Mr. Hill, where an Hispanic employee said that his supervisor asked him to recite the Pledge of Allegiance to, quote, prove that he was an American? Did you read that?
I did, Senator.
Did it make you proud?
It did not.
You've been there since January, right?
That's correct.
I heard you talk about transparency and accountability. Those are pretty words. I want a report within 30 days about what's been done. I want to know who's been fired. I want to know who's been prosecuted. I want to know who's been moved around with so-called demotion, taking care of their brother-in-law, and got a bonus.
We can certainly provide that for you.
Well, you better, because I'm going to tell you, I'm not sure I'm going to vote for you. I've had enough of this. I have had enough of this. And if your name came up in front of me right now, I wouldn't vote for you.
Senator,
It's got nothing to do with your policy chops, but I have had enough.
Yep.
I have had enough. This is not an isolated incident. And I've talked about this repeatedly, and I've heard nothing from you, Mr. Hill, and I've had nothing from your agency. And you know what I assume? Look, I trust everybody. I believe in the adage, trust in God, but tie up your camel.
Senator, we are fully committed to cleaning up the agency.
Yeah, well, you got 30 days.
Yep.
Or whatever I just said. I'll stick to whatever I just said to give me a report about what's happened to these people.
We will do so.
And otherwise, you can forget about my vote.
Because these agencies are supposed to serve the people, not protect predators. And did you notice how the nominee, Mr. Hill, kept saying, "Yes, Senator, we'll do that"? He looked cornered, not by politics, but by truth. Kennedy wasn't asking gotcha questions. He was reading their own report back to them. That's not partisan aggression. That's oversight doing its job. Let's be honest, if this were any private company, heads would have rolled months ago. But because it's a federal agency under a political administration, people think they can get away with this nonsense. Kennedy's saying, no more. And he's absolutely right. I also love how he said, trust in God, but tie up your camel. Classic Kennedy, down to earth, but sharp as a knife. It's a reminder that faith and accountability aren't opposites, they're partners. You can hope for people to do the right thing, but you better make sure they actually do it. And look, let's give credit where it's due. Kennedy isn't just grandstanding for TV. He's putting his vote on the line. He told Mr. Hill, straight up, you don't get my vote unless I see real action. That's integrity. That's backbone. That's what representation should look like. What we saw today was a U.S. Senator saying enough is enough, to corruption, to abuse, and to the disgusting culture of cover-ups. And that's why, love him or hate him, Senator John Kennedy stands out. So here's my takeaway. Accountability shouldn't depend on political party. It should depend on right and wrong. And Kennedy, he's one of the few left in D.C. who still gets that. If you agree that these kinds of hearings matter, that leaders should be held to a higher moral and ethical standard, let's get this video out there. Share it. Comment below. Let your voice be heard. Because silence is what lets this kind of behavior thrive. And it's time we start rewarding people who actually stand up and do something about it. I'm proud of Kennedy today. And honestly, every public servant should take notes. This is Hot News Today, and if you're new here, don't forget, we don't follow the noise, we follow the truth. See you in the next one.